What's in the back?
A little bit. I will explain.
All right, folks, welcome. I'm gonna call everybody to order. And Bruce, you wouldn't mind doing the roll call?
Ned Galloway,
Present.
Mike Pruitt,
Present.
Tony O'Brien, Keith Smith,
Here.
Tim Goolsby,
Here.
James Higgins,
Present.
Tommy Barlow,
Here.
Manning Woodward,
Here.
Jesse Rutherford,
Here.
Ernie Reed,
Here.
Michael Payne, Bill Duranzio.
Here. I think Mike talked to them while I said earlier. So, looks like we're going to have to, allow Manning to come in for, electronic participation. So, Manning, if you don't mind telling me where you're at and why you can't make it today, and then we'll call you in.
I'm at home in Louisa. I had an afternoon doctor's appointment in Fredericksburg, so I wasn't able to get back in time to make it to Charlottesville.
Thank you, sir.
We let him stay with me.
Can I get a second
Second.
to that most passionate motion made?
I did that for you, man.
Oh, thank you.
All in favor? If we're starting off, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Manning, I'm gonna make this worse for you. I went and measured all the urinals in the building. And there's one of them that's a foot lower than over here, so I'll let you know where it is when you show up.
I will greatly appreciate that. You are a gentleman.
Always looking out for you. Righty, matters from the public, comments from the public. Do we have anybody present that wants to speak? Anybody online? All righty. Hearing, seeing none. We're on number 3, FY25 annual fiscal audit report. We've got Laura and we've got David Foley back here from Robinson Fox. Well, Laura, would you kick it off for us?
Sure. We have David Foley here with us tonight from Robertson Farmer Fox, and he's going to present in detail his analysis and his report that was in our packet. I would just like to say there is a management's discussion and analysis at the beginning, starting on page 9 of that report, which goes to 14. And if you have any questions in that section of the report, feel free to ask me at the end of his presentation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here with you all. Again, my name is David Foley, and we have completed the audit for the commission for FY25. So I'm here to present the results of that audit to you all. I did meet with the finance committee earlier this evening, and we went through the audit report in detail. So I'll kind of just hit the highlights for you all here in this meeting. Before I get into the results of the audit, just a brief overview of the audit that we do for the commission. So as part of the financial statement audit, there's really 3 main pieces of the audit that we do for the commission when we're doing the financial statement audit. One, of course, is we audit the financial statements to make sure that the commission's financial statements have been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So we go through and audit the numbers to make sure that they are recorded appropriately. And then the other 2 pieces of the audit we do in accordance with government auditing standards. One of which is as part of the audit, we review and gain an understanding of the organization's, the commission's internal controls that it has over its financial reporting. So while we're out doing the audit, in addition to just looking at the numbers themselves, we gain an understanding and we'll do some tests over the internal controls that the commission has over its financial reporting. And then the third main piece of the audit that we do is the federal compliance piece. So anytime an organization expends over $750,000 in federal grant funds, you're required to undergo what's called the single audit, federal compliance audit, as part of your financial statement. So the OMB provides a compliance supplement which lists the various compliance requirements that the commission has to comply with when it's carrying out and expanding its federal grant programs. So for the major federal grant programs, we go through that compliance checklist to make sure that the commission is complying with those federal grant compliance requirements. So those are the three main pieces of the audit that we do for the commission. So as such, included in the audited financial statement report, there are three different reports from us that communicate the results of the audit. The first is towards the front of the report on page 6, which is our independent auditors report. And in this report, where we state we did perform an audit on the commission's financial statements. And then in the second paragraph of the report is where we issue our opinion on the commission's financial statements. And we have issued an unmodified opinion on the commission's financial statements, which is the cleanest opinion an auditor can give on the set of financial statements. Basically, unmodified opinion means that the commission's financial statements have been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The other two reports from us are in the back of the report in the compliance section. The first report back there starts on page 70. This is our report over the organization's internal controls over its financial reporting. As part of the audit, we noted no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the organization's financial reporting. Overall, we feel like the commission has strong internal controls over its financial reporting. Just an example, as part of the audit, we had no audit adjustments that we needed to propose as part of our audit, meaning that the commission's financial statements were already prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles before we even started doing the audit. So I think that speaks to the strength of the finance team and the controls they have in place. It's not too common that you go through an audit and don't have some type of adjustment to propose to make. So again, to go through an audit and not have any adjustments, I think speaks to the strength of the finance team. And then the third and final report is 2 pages over on page 72. This is our report over the commission's compliance with its major federal grant programs. This report was clean as well. There were no significant deficiencies and material weaknesses over the commission's compliance with its major federal grant programs. Also, there were no items of non-compliance noted as part of the audit. So again, all three reports from us were clean. So overall, it's a very, very clean audit again for the commission. That's all I have, but be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions for Dave?
No question, but I mean, with all the money license, we're just great job. Speaks to the faith that the jurisdictions have in y'all, but also the places where they're giving us grants and all those dollars.
All right. Any further questions, comments? All right, so this is an action item. So you're wondering if you go through.
Chair, I move that we accept 8025 fiscal 25 annual financial audit report. Appreciation to Mr. Foley, his people, and Ms. Greene.
Amen. Second. Sure. First and seconded, all in favor, say aye, or do we need to do a roll call on this one? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And David, you need to share some personal stuff, right? He's a grandfather.
Yes, yeah, I did.
Come on,
I did just
show it off.
recently become a grandfather for the first time. So thank you, very exciting.
Awesome. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, Laura, you're gonna do the order 1 July through September financial report.
Make this one a quick summary, I hope. You do have a staff memo in your agenda packet for the first quarter of fiscal year 26. It is intended just to give a high level overview of how we are doing against our own internal budget for the agency for the quarter as well as for the year. And in some reports, I've also compared to the prior fiscal year, the same time period with the profit and loss for the previous fiscal year, which was also included in your packet. So I just want to reference the net quick assets have increased $24,205 from June of 2025. So the first quarter we had an increase. We also have a revenue gain of 32,086 for the first quarter as well. So we in the profit and loss, have this up. And I scroll down just a little bit. There we go. A little graph here that shows where we are, revenues, operating expenses, and pass-through expenses compared against the annual approved budget, the operating budget. And so we are showing 11% against being 25% into the year. At revenue, 22% for operating expenses and 11% for pass-through expenses, which can be accounted for on the low side due to significantly low due to the body invoicing, sorry. Body delays have been incurred for invoicing because we had an amendment, we had quite a few things happening with new money coming in on that grant. So we haven't been getting the invoicing from our partner to get those quarterly numbers in this report. So that is the significant decrease in both revenue and pass-through expenses there. I wanted to note that. And then on the accrued revenue report, for the remaining 9 months, we have 195,816 available per month, with our 12-month average spending at 161.4, and so that satisfies our monthly outflow of expenses, and our expenses for September were 180,142. Anybody have any questions? That was pretty quick. Nope.
Probably slow it down. So let's ask a few questions. Any questions? Okay. It's just awesome to hear those numbers. We were talking with David when he first took on. We're about 30 days from actually shutting our doors up that with them in super health now. So this is a lot of hard work. A lot of energy put into it over the years. So thank you. All right, well, that's not an action item. So the consent agenda, do we want to take this as a block? Does anybody want to pull something out to talk a little bit about? Is everybody caught up on the minutes? We need to give a breather for that? Or
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
so this is, you just don't want Smith to talk.
Yeah, I'll get it.
All righty, so I got a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. We're now at 7:15. And item number 5, I think I'm gonna wear an award for moving meetings along with that. I'll figure it up somewhere.
Just did.
Sorry, brother. Trying to be respectful for the folks that have to drive an hour. How long take you to get here, Tommy?
About an hour.
Yeah. Sounds like cheating.
Nice to see you. Mr. Vice Chair, would you put the chair in order?
Vice Chair's a present.
All right, so new business. So we've got the financial management policy revisions, and Ruth, you're going to tackle that for us.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair.
as I presented to the Finance Executive Committee earlier this evening, before you tonight, is a revision to the financial management policy that was brought not so long ago and went into effect July 1 of this fiscal year. We noticed as we were implementing the new financial management policy that some key changes were needed. First, the review of payroll was not explicitly called out in our financial management policy, and that is a key part of making sure that our controls are effective. It is something that we have done in practice, having two sets of eyes review payroll before it goes out, but it's important to have it in our policy. And then the other thing that was needed in a revision was making sure that the language around electronic payments versus checks was very clear. The way it had been worded made it seem, depending on how you read it, that we were moving to all electronic payments, but we need to have the flexibility as an organization to do either one. So clarifying some of that language. And then a minor change is that we changed the language around who signs checks to more closely reflect what's in the commission's bylaws. So that's a pretty minor change, but I think they are necessary to maintain the health of the organization over a period of years.
Any questions?
Yes.
Ruth, not to be indelicate, but could I inquire as to the resolution of the inappropriately cashed check from past month?
You may inquire. I think Laura would do a better job of explaining what happened there, though.
I can. So the resolution is that, do you want me to go back to the beginning? Is everybody aware of what had happened?
Oh, that was.
Okay, I'll start with that then. We wrote a check out of the main operating account and mailed it to a vendor of ours. It was mailed out in May of 2025. The vendor reached out to us sometime in July, I believe, and let us know that they had not received it. Upon looking, it had cleared the bank. When we asked them to recheck their records, they identified which bank they had, that they had not received it. Further research upon my return in September, because I was out for a period of time, I realized that the counter or the endorsement was not to their bank. So we reached out immediately to Wells Fargo to stop payment. Oh, not stop payment. Payment had already been made. It was about $2,500 to a third party unknown to anybody. So we filed a fraud claim with Wells Fargo. About a month later, they were telling us that no fraud claim had been initiated. They needed to start another one. They reached out to the cashing bank and asked for those funds to be returned. They returned about half of that amount of money, or a little more than that. And then I got a letter from Wells Fargo saying that's as far as they were going to go in their research. I pushed back, called again, said, we're not happy with that answer. How do we get the rest of our funds? They said, well, you didn't file timely. You didn't file a claim timely enough. You really only have 60 days. And I'd say, the mail sometimes doesn't even arrive for 60 days. Come on. So anyway, I was told on my last phone call that Wells Fargo reached back out to that other bank. The bank said the funds were available to collect from, I guess, the party that cashed the check, and that they would be sending those funds to Wells Fargo. I do not have those funds in our bank account yet. That is where we sit with that specific incident.
What about charges against the person since they know the account?
We would have to file a claim with the police if we want to pursue that. And I'm sorry?
How many hours?
In this already? Probably a day at least.
That sounds a little like.
Probably is, but considering some of these phone calls aren't at least, 2 or 3 hours sometimes, but
Research time.
yeah.
So
As a,
But, and we do have, insurance policy. We could also go that route and let them try to recapture this if we wanted to, but I think it was a $500 deductible or $250 deductible, which didn't make much sense to me on a like $1,100 claim, to even go that route. But I'm hopeful that we will get the remaining funds. The question is, do we want to initiate any type of legal action to go against the party that I don't know that we would not have that information. We could not get that information from the bank, but if the police were to pursue on our behalf that way, they could. But then it becomes an issue of the commission. Do we pursue?
You know, brought it up at a previous meeting, I wanted to, you know, it was rather, thank you, Nick. Disturbing to hear about, but it sounds like Laura is doing as much as possible.
We closed the old account, so if no checks can be cleared on that account at any point, and open a new account with a new account number, so we know it couldn't get fraudulently used for that purpose. We are also, another step is to, and I've already made the request on all of our checking accounts for our statements to be mailed to us with copies of the images front and back of the check, so we can actually see not only that we have signed on our 2 signature lines, but who has been endorsing the checks on the back. So that should happen in our next cycle of statements we get from the bank. So hopefully a little bit closer eyes on maybe. I mean, but that just also requires us to know who should be depositing those checks, you know, and what their endorsement would be.
$2,500 to the original vendor, right? We
did front that up to pay them back as well. Yeah. So right now we're just trying to recoup that. Yep.
We're unlikely to know the identity of the felons and deliver some commission justice.
I guess it can be.
Unless we filed a police report.
Report they find out very, very, very quickly is, you know, there's a depository account connected to where this check landed. There's a name on that account, so. It wouldn't be too hard.
You would think that Wells Fargo itself would assume that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I mean, not to go into the weeds on how long we should on this topic, but every time I've had this happen, bank eats it.
Yeah.
I mean, cause you know, I do the whole I threaten to leave the bank.
Yeah, I was told had,
Benefit analysis for bank.
Yeah. They kind of give you this.
yeah,
Thousands of dollars of their time to chase this.
Yeah.
Did we file a CFPB complaint? We should file a CFPB complaint. I know they barely exist anymore, but they still exist. It's just they're slowly removing all their staff. I don't know. Every time I've ever had a position where a bank just like ghosts me or ignores me or gives me an answer I don't like, frankly, file a CFPB complaint, wait 30 days, and they will have some person with a title of senior vice president come and kowtow in an email and give me what I want. I mean, that sounds really blunt, but it's surprisingly effective historically back when the CFPB existed. I don't know if it'll still work, but it's a 5-minute process.
okay.
Yeah, but do they even have the statutory authority? Is us being a quasi, we're not consumer or a quasi governmental agency, they're not obligated to protect us.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, it's, I mean.
No 5-minute thing,
But
but I
you
think
get past the spam on front of their page, you get in there and you click on it.
Well,
I'll look into that.
Yeah. They're too busy rolling back regulations.
yeah.
Did that answer your question completely?
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to assign work.
No, that's.
Just an idea.
Like I said, hopefully we will get a resolution that fully, you know, refunds our funding. Whether we wanted to pursue, you know, any legal action, I guess is really the question at this
What
point.
does Christine say about this?
I-
Do you have an opinion on that?
She's on,
Christine, what is your position on legal action?
My position was to make the TJPDC whole for its losses. I was concerned about investing too much staff time into doing anything further, but we are happy to take your direction if you would like us to go down that path.
Well, it seemed to me you can file a complaint for them to pursue. If it's just somebody, the mail got delivered to the wrong place, that's one thing, but if the vendor's got a person that maybe took it. The only way they're gonna find that out is through the criminal complaint, would seem to me. So I'm not so interested in spending any more resources. But we also don't wanna be sending a future check to a vendor where there's already been somebody that's snuck a check out.
I have an arrangement with this particular vendor that they are going to be picking up their checks from now on. They do not want us to mail them.
But we also should let it just go by with, let the check in.
I mean, I guess there's at some level, did we cross every I and dot every T here?
Don't care. I don't care on our due diligence. Somebody cashed a check that shouldn't have,
Mhm.
we should file it. That's my opinion. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's concurrent.
And I'm sure this individual has done it more than once.
I mean, unless you're telling me that you guys mailed the check to the person. Which I suspect didn't happen.
That didn't.
Well,
And the check was not changed in any way. It wasn't made payable to another party. They just
Which of course is a straight up
Yeah.
failure on the cashing back.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
well. Look at that. We have time.
So our financial management
I'm
policy,
very happy. You're much.
the financial management policy revisions are largely around our internal control process. And that is the bulk of our financial management policy. It does cover cost principles and governing standards as well. But this type of making sure that the vendor who receives the funds is the right vendor is outside of our financial management policy.
So we're back on that topic, right? Which is an action item.
Yes.
So any further questions on that? So would you like to add any more? Okay, great. So we're looking for a first and a second.
Chair, I recommend we approve the financial management policy as revised and presented.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And just add a little bit to it. Maybe you guys can report back to us formally next month on.
The resolution. Sure. Happy to.
All righty. Ruth, you're up next again. Digital water supply planning grant application.
Yes, so as you will recall, Virginia DEQ awarded us a grant back in the spring for regional water supply planning. We are the kind of convener of several localities for the water supply plan in our area. It does not include the county of Nelson, but it does include Buckingham. It's loosely based on watersheds, but the purpose is to work towards this goal of having a regional water supply plan. So we applied for the funds. It was about $8,000 in the spring. We were awarded that. We spent it down over the course of the summer. For fiscal year 26, they just announced the grant application in the fall. We applied and we actually found out today that we have been awarded about $9,000 to continue the planning. As you can imagine, working with several localities to do a water supply plan is going to cost more than $9,000 over the course of a year. So it is being supplemented with local funds, and we are working on figuring out what sort of budget would be needed and if there would be a local ask for additional funds to cover, say, a consultant or just additional work on this plan. The hope is that the local plans will have a lot of the information that's needed to go into the regional plan, that it can just be compiled by the TJPDC, and that we won't need a consultant. So we are asking you tonight to accept the grant award and what was the second part, David?
Authorize the executive director to
There we go.
take all actions necessary. Typical language we include in our grant resolutions for you.
You want us to make a motion to get money?
Yes.
Anybody want to do that?
So moved.
There you go.
I'll second.
Right, we got a first and second to get money. All in favor?
Ah.
So, David, you're up next, community block, development block.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is an item that comes to you every year. The Department of Housing and Community Development, which administers the federal CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program, asked planning district commissions to identify regional priorities for anticipated CDBG applications as part of their Community Improvement Grant Program. We have reached out to local government staff for notice of any anticipated applications for 25 or even into early 26, and having not heard of any by any of our localities at this point, if you approve the motion we have before you, then we would plan to do as we typically have done in the past and submit 3 priority areas of economic development, infrastructure, and housing on the form that was included in your packet, and we would send that off to DHCD.
Any questions for Dave? Another motion?
I so moved.
I second. There you go, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, Manny. Old business now. David's doing it, David, we've got an A1, A2, A3. They look like they're all action items. Do you want to group them into one or?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Chairman, if I may, 6A, 1, 2, and 3, would like to, if possible, take those 3 together, and then 6B would be a separate action. And just for some background, I guess at your last meeting in October, Taylor, our transportation director, was here and briefed you on the intent to dissolve the existing regional transit partnership in order to make way for the newly established Charlottesville Albemarle Regional Transit Authority, known as CARTA, which would then serve as the primary planning unit for transit. You are presented here this evening, or actually then you were presented with 2 items which are recurring here this evening. There was a draft disillusion letter, and there was also a new proposed MOU that would be between TJPDC, City of Charlottesville, and Albemarle County, those latter 2 being the initial CARTA members as it relates to CARTA administration and support. So, with that background, what is before you tonight in that first group under 6A are 3 things. There is that official disillusion letter, once again, that when it is signed by commission upon your approval by the chair and the executive director, would be sent to all existing voting members for them to agree to dissolve the RTP through an amendment to the original MOU. That is Charlottesville, Albemarle, TJPDC, the MPO, Jaunt, and UVA. The second item there under little number 2 is an amendment to the original existing MOU that established the regional transit partnership itself, because that MOU says that any amendments to it have to be agreed to by all parties. So that would accompany the letter that was discussed in item number 1. And then the third, little number 3, as I'd mentioned, there is a draft memorandum of understanding that would detail the roles of TJPDC, Albemarle County, and Charlottesville regarding CARTA, which also, upon your approval, then would be signed and forwarded to the respective governing board, Charlottesville and Albemarle, for their approval. And I believe we are already working to get those on agendas here in the near future. I passed out at your place. There was a small change in the wording from the MOU that was included in the packet that was sent to you. So we have a revised hard copy. The change is on the first page is under the funding heading, and it's really just a clarifying change to make it clear that both localities are funding 50% of the cost for the services that would be provided by TJPDC. Nothing substantive at all. So that in essence is what we're asking you to do tonight, and we're glad to try to answer some questions if you have.
Any questions? Any opposition to doing this as all one action?
There, I just have a very quick thing. The way the MOU is drafted, do we need to execute an amendment if we are in a position where Carter wants to pay its own bills? I think we are. As in, like, if the city and the county develop some kind of, or the general assembly develops some kind of finance system, and Carter has its own capital, and they want to pay their own bills to TJPDC, I think we need to amend the MOU.
Right.
Which,
At that point.
that's a problem
Right,
for
that would
2
be-
years from now. I just want to make
Right.
sure I'm correct. And
Which could be done. I don't see that kind of language that says any changes to this MOU would have to be agreed upon by all parties, which is what I had referenced in the existing MOU. So it could either take place by action of the commission, I guess, or if that language could be added to this draft MOU, I think we could do that fairly easily.
Yeah, I don't know. Not off the MOU. I just. A thing to think about.
Anything else you want to?
No, I will stop till the meeting.
Like a motion?
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, I will take a motion.
Yes, sir. I move that we approve item 6A, Roman numerals 1, 2, and 3 with the proviso that the scrivener's error in spelling my name in 1 is corrected.
And Mr. Chair, if I may just maybe expand upon that a little bit so that folks will know exactly what each one of these documents. For the first one, you'd be authorizing the chair and the executive director to sign the letter, formally requesting the dissolution. The second authorizes the chair to sign the MOU amendment. And then the third authorizes the executive director to sign the CARTA MOU.
You good with that?
That's just expanding upon. Yeah.
Signing what? And I guess to clarify, my motion is yes, but correct spelling my name before you sign once.
Yes, sir. So can I get a second to that?
Second.
Oh, I heard two come across. Did we get to the second ones?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All righty. The next one is exciting to me because I think the word of Diantha. So David, you're on that?
Yes, just very quickly, there's also a draft resolution in your packet before you that commends the work of the RTP for providing a strong forum for communication and coordination between transit providers and really laying the foundation for a stronger and more coordinated transit plan and system in the region. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, it also commends Diantha McKeel for her vision and her strong leadership. She served as the first and the only chair of the RPT during its, I guess, what will be 8 years. So should you approve that resolution, then it would be presented to what will be a joint meeting of the RTP and CARTA coming up later on this month.
And anybody who'd like to join them, more than welcome.
Yes, indeed.
More than welcome. Anything else you want to add to that, David?
That's all, Mr. Chair.
All right, any questions? So if we could get a motion for our dear friend Diantha, I'd appreciate it. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Okay. First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, David, you're rocking and rolling. You're doing the director's report.
And in doing the director's report, I'm going to simply say that Christine's report is in your packet. I think with the number of highlights about what we've been up to since we last met. And the only other thing that I was going to point out, you've already mentioned, Mr. Chair, as well as just that November 18th joint meeting, and certainly want to make sure that the commissioners know that they are welcome to attend.
Christine, while you're online, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is that we've heard back from the owner on our property and the contractor that they're working with to do the tenant improvements, and the building renovations will be starting January 5th rather than in mid-December. And so staff will be beginning January 6th working remotely for a 6-week period while they come in. It was a lot easier to arrange those improvements with us just vacating versus trying to work around all the schedules, which means we'll be working on all of the logistics to make sure that all of our meetings in January through mid-February at a minimum are held electronically. So I'd like to recommend that this board meet in person in December so that you can meet virtually in February. We do not have a January meeting. And since we can't do 2 consecutive meetings, we would like to hold the December in person to allow for that.
So that'll be December 4th. Any questions for Christine or David?
Do we need to say yes, that we're gonna meet December 4th?
I don't know if we need this. Do we need to take an action on that, Christine?
You do not. We don't have any. It's just that we're going to be holding it in person as usual, and then we will post the virtual meeting for February.
All right. So it looks like if no questions for Christine and David, we'll move into the round tables, and politics is good to talk about here in elections. So you want to talk a little bit about that? That's okay. Jesse, I'm going to start with you. What's going on in Nelson County?
Wild, wasn't it, Ernie?
Well, it's, things are happening in DSS building, El Mariachi got
Destroyed.
kind of destroyed.
Yeah, we destroyed that.
We're gonna be breaking ground on that very soon, Department of Social Services building, which is pretty darn exciting.
Yeah.
And,
I was gonna let you say that you won.
I won.
There you go.
And how'd you do? How many votes did you get?
I won by 12%, about 150.
How'd you do, Jess?
250 votes.
We had multiple things happen on my election day, not near as consequential in terms of Ernie's, didn't cost me money. But there was 2 write-in campaigns, one on the school board side and one on a against me in the precinct, so they got 30 votes. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And then the North District is going to be Cameron Lanahan. And then we have an entire, basically 3 new school board members. Stacy and 2 Joes.
Yeah.
How many are on the board?
5.
Majority of new people.
Majority new people. So
How's your student count doing?
it dropped it
Still
again.
going down?
Yeah, it dropped. What was that last year? 40, 30, 40?
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's like 30 or 40. Actually, at this point, yes, yeah, we would actually take children. So yeah, our student population dropped again. So that's not good. As it relates to zoning, that's still underway. I was the only dissenting opinion of 6-acre lot minimum sizes in A1. Maybe I'll convert Ernie, working on it.
We got a ways to go.
That's
Now
right.
we have something to push up against.
There he is. So that's gonna monopolize a lot of my time now. And beyond that, I don't have much more to report. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you got from your grant.
No, pretty much the same. We approved the same grant for our regional water supply that y'all did.
Is there a reason why we're in the difference?
Because we're in a different watershed. We're in the James and everybody else.
Everybody's not in the James.
There's actually different,
James.
there's several different James, they call them regional planning units. So there are I think maybe 3 different RPUs in this part of the country for the James. So, they were trying to do them by river basin.
Yeah.
But
It goes.
Yep.
Yeah, but, so for water and trash, you go south.
Right.
And for transit, we go north. I can't think of another thing about, except that just for the record, I had an opponent and I got more votes than Jesse.
That's what I do.
Ernie gets more votes than every time. Makes anybody feel bad. I got more votes for SGA president in like 2012.
In my mind.
Yeah, but we're both signed up for 4 more years. So. Like we're not going anywhere.
I can't.
Jesse said to me, Ernie, it's yours as long as you want. By the way, Ernie had some great signs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, half
Why
of
didn't
it,
you bring a
shirt,
sign?
t-shirt
Wish we
there.
had.
I'll bring the t-shirts.
Container.
Should wear this t-shirt.
All right, we're gonna move on, folks. How what's going on with Louisa County?
All of our board members and the school board. We got the same board, everybody went back. Dwayne Grace. I opposed it, 196 votes, but the other one opposed, mine was a little larger spread than that, but we got everybody back for another 4 years, so we're gonna keep on trucking what we've been doing. Man, he might have
Anything to share, Manny?
Tommy's being modest as always. He won by a landslide. And yes, we same 7 board members, 4 of them were up for reelection. Everybody got back. So we're happy about that. We can keep on rolling along. I did want to share with y'all, I know I had mentioned a while back about Buckingham Branch owns Virginia Scenic Railway. They've been running their excursions out of Stanton. They will continue to do that, but they are going to run excursions starting with Santa train out of Louisa right after Thanksgiving. And I don't know how many trains they have, but it's a pile of them. It's 3 and 4. I think a few days they even have 5 of them running in one day. And they have sold out almost all of those. The first group they put up before they added more, they sold out within about 5 or 6 days. So anyway, we're really excited about that. That's going to bring a lot of people into the town of Louisa out of the Louisa Depot. So other than that, that's about anything exciting that I know going on. Thank you.
Can I ask you all a question about your local election? You mentioned at the top, Dwayne's race. And I know it's closer, and I didn't think he had that tied in district. And I also know that race, the biggest issue in it was a fairly nonpartisan one. You had Dwayne as pro data center, and you had his opponent as being kind of anti. Did that matter? Do you think that's why it was close? Or do you think it was just a DVR?
Well, certainly that was part of it. The data centers, everybody thinks that, or the perception is that they're putting out there is we're gonna continue and got the whole, gonna continue to flood the county with data centers. We pretty much did what we were gonna do in the bag.
3's probably plenty.
Yeah.
It's just $10 billion later.
Yeah, we got, I mean, that's kind of where we had played. The one we got turned down was one that AWS and private landowner tried to do, and that I think the drawback with that was it was wrapped around one of our reservoirs that feeds the town of Monroe, Louisa. And plus it was near residential section, it got a lot of kickback and but that was, it was touted as number 3. This was number 3 when the county's off. It wasn't, we're at hand number 3. This would have been number 4. And it got withdrawn, and I think you just like what you just said. I think we got enough. We got what we intended to do. And I think, at some point in the future, if we need something else, I think we could probably find somebody to come in, but I think we got all we need right now, and I don't anticipate any additional.
Isn't the industrial park that you guys sold gonna be bought, was it bought by Equinox? Isn't that all data centers?
Number 3.
That's one of them.
Number 3 was bought by Equinox, which is everything we can understand is the top of the line, data center developer. It has a closed loop system, so you have far less water use and that kind of stuff. And, when we've checked around the country, they seem to have a really good reputation. What went out and it happens that business park or industrial parks in my district, which I voted against it in the first place. But then I inherited it, it kind of grew into my district. And what people don't understand is the majority of the money going into it was state and federal monies. And, you know, it was there, why let it go somewhere else? So we took it. And, but we were able to have economic director call me, said he had potential buyer. And, I've been from getting rid of it. Number one, you're gonna have industry, which involves noise, dust. I mean, if you have normal industrial uses, plus traffic on a secondary road, this prospect of a data center. Got rid of those issues, the traffic is gonna be, after it's built, it's gonna be nothing in comparison. And then what you end up with is something that looks like a college campus. So, and then I think the topic on the cake was, it was like an $18 million gain over what we had in it. So.
Yeah, but the industrial park's like got more than 100 acres, right? And there's only one data center going into it? It's a complex of data
That's the
centers.
building, that's,
Yes.
I mean, the ones that North Valley, it's like, and the ones got in Open Street, it's like 25 buildings in this operation. There's 700 and some acres in that industrial park.
Yeah, that's okay.
But,
It's a data center complex.
and so, yeah, anyway, we're glad to get rid of it, and, I think it turned out good. Now we get to, they gotta put up with me for another 4 years.
James, swing down. Very briefly, last month, a delegation from the county traveled up to New York City. They met with the credit rating agencies. Both Moody's and Standard & Poor's gave Greene a AA rating, which was most welcome. It's my understanding that even now Greene is marketing its utility revenue bonds. I don't have an account with a broker like Fidelity, so I can't go on and check what's happening. And also, in the spirit of when Albemarle County sneezes, Greene gets pneumonia, I might ask, following the approval of the deal with AstraZeneca, my colleagues in Albemarle, are there plans to extend Boulders Road to meet Watts Passage Road on the ground of the campus at Fluvanna Station?
Things that make you go,
You ready for me to answer that? It loops around back to 29. We bought a piece of property years ago so the road, the planned road, as it goes up into, will basically continue and then loop back to 29 further north of the current entrance.
Further north, say near the location of the closed Korean restaurant?
Yeah. It's the old, what the hell used to be there? It used to be that's not where the psychic house was. There was another, I'm forgetting the name of it. But the way the property is, the zoning, the piece that the back portion of the property is a rural area. The front half of the property, when you're thinking half, north-south, is development area. So we're preserving the back half that's rural area, won't be developed on. So there won't be any roads coming through that and go back through the rural area. But if you turn, basically, if you turn into where you turn into the property now, it'll go up and you would swoop around left. There'll be a bridge that'll build over a stream. And then the property, it'll reconnect with 29. On 29 north of Boulders, but short of the Emerson campus. Yeah, I'm just forgetting the name, there's an intersection there now, I'm just forgetting the name of the road where it will reconnect that.
All right, well, that's encouraging. I worked at Fluvanna Station, and whenever there was a closure of that campus due to a water main break or to an afternoon heavy snowfall, it took a lengthy amount of time for everybody to exit that campus. So there was tremendous tie-ups of visitors with exit connected with 29.
Prior to this announcement, we had the engineering done and the road plan. We had got a grant from from Virginia Economic Development, and that grant was to help with. Because the road, it wasn't to complete the road, it was but to get the first pieces open to get the road further than where it is. But now with AstraZeneca coming on, and that announcement, it's gonna accelerate the need to get the road completed. With that many new employees coming in, and then of course the truck traffic. Because they'll be moving the products in and out, so they're gonna need. So by the time AstraZeneca opens, that road will likely be completed. Which was our big announcement, AstraZeneca, their initial $4 billion, and then they announced an expansion by the time we even did the announcement. There's 2 manufacturing facilities, it'll be up there, 600 jobs.
Dude, I thought it was one in Goochland and one, where else?
Well, Goochland, I forget the company.
Usually it's Eli Lilly, isn't it?
Eli Lilly and Merck also, they got
Right.
rolled out as part of getting the 3 big places in Virginia, but we had, the initial one is one type of facility that will be a weight loss, and the drug is a weight loss product. The second facility is going to be a cancer drug that they're developing and going to manufacture there. So there'll actually be 2 separate facilities as part of the announcement. That's what jumped it from 500 jobs to 600 jobs by the time the governor made the announcement.
That's great. And what's the projected income?
Well, I mean, their investment's $4.5 billion.
Salaries.
Salaries are all 6 figures, they're saying.
Oh, 6 figures.
So that was a big deal. Great for us in terms of, we've been pushing to try to get diversification of the tax hit for real estate. So getting a commercial enterprise like this in there will certainly help that effort over the years. And then we're hoping that, they're gonna, what do they got, 50 acres, I think now with the expansion. So there's still other property, still more acreage available for further development on that side. And then hopefully this will stimulate the Emerson property and the North Fork side as well. Get some things going with other types of stuff that comes around with it.
This was not even the pad site that we expected to do initial development on in the Urbana Fusion project. We've got 3 separate discrete pad sites. This is the one we were expecting to develop out the second or third. But it's the one that they wanted that had the biggest footprint, and they're like, we got a lot to build. It kicks our timeline ahead.
So that's good. And we approved our comp plan, so that's the big thing, or we did a comp plan rewrite, so AC 44 is now approved. And in our county, I'm going back forward, I didn't have a comment, so that was not real, it's great for me. But we will have 2 brand new supervisors, both Jim Andrews and Diane McKeel were retiring, they did not re-up. Sally Duncan will be the new board of supervisor member for Jack Jewett. She won a contested primary back in June and was unopposed in the general. And then Fred Missile, who's the current chair of our planning commission, will be the new representative from Sandy Miller. He did defeat an opponent yesterday. In our school board, in the Rio district, we had a contested race. The person that was appointed upon the death of the prior school board member, she did not win the election, so Jim Dillonback would be a new member of the school board in Rio. And then Bob Beard will be representing Samuel Miller, he was unopposed. And which one am I forgetting? Samuel Miller, Rio. Oh, Jewett is returning the school board member that was representing them. So we've got some new people will be participating, it'll be interesting. We've had a lot of veterans on Albemarle for a long time, so it's gonna be a different makeup for sure.
I know it's a little gauche to talk about parties, right? But I think it's interesting.
He was also not endorsed by the Republican Party.
Yes, I'm not trying to claim he's anything that he's not.
He was verbally endorsed by the Republican Party on election day, but he was not, he was not sample ballot endorsed on this sample. And I'll leave you, I'll figure out that strategy.
You want to fill in the second half?
Honestly, there's not much more to add. We've had our comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I did say that. We paused data centers.
That's true.
We were going down a road to consider, but our board was split on how we felt about data centers. And with the AstraZeneca news kind of sucking the oxygen out, we decided to just pause where we were at with the data center conversation.
It's worth mentioning, you know, and Ned and I were on. I don't think it's a pro con, it's more of a skeptical optimist. That's how I describe this on data centers, data center skeptical, data center optimist. We were on opposite sides of it, but I think an interesting kind of when staff looked at this and determined, you know, there's no room for budge. The way they talk about it, it's, oh, we realize that we don't have access to the fidelity of data from these developers that would be needed to answer some of these questions on the skeptical side. To be able to get us to them. Just there is not a level of data transparency there, which.
Irony of ironies.
Yeah.
Anything else? That's all I got. Didn't you want to fit in back into Greene, talk about your exciting
on the
count there?
Yeah, the political side of it, we have a new member coming on to take Marie Doer's place with Midway District, and right now, the Standardsville District with Steve Valano and Mr. Snow is, I think he's got 12 votes ahead of him at this point, so they're still doing the final count. Counting the write-ins and absentee ballots or something other than they should have it finalized by Tuesday, they said. So that's where that's going right now, so. And it's still, I think we got our next meeting coming up next Thursday. We're not doing Tuesday because of Veterans Day, so we have our next meeting next Thursday, and we're gonna finalize all the water impoundment things and get all that finally going. And checking the bond ratings and finalize that is the biggest thing.
Did y'all's bond rating come in time for it to matter for your water impoundment project? I thought that was all already settled, but.
Well, we had already voted on it and then we went for the bonds and see where it went from there. And it actually came in a lot better than what we anticipated with it.
Okay, so you're still saving some money from it.
Yeah.
Good.
Anything else, sir?
That's about it.
Phil, you do it, Charles.
All right, let's see, I saw on my calendar, the planning commission from CIP for a work session this month, which is already filling me with anxiety, right, it always does. The development code is going through its revisions. It looks like we may actually have a settlement in the offing for the lawsuit surrounding our development code. Or not, you know, check back with me in a week. So there's that. We have the city has identified and in principle gotten a deal for the old, it just flew out of my head, but on Holiday Drive, a building that is now going to function as a low barrier shelter. We are talking about spending $5 or $6 million for that. And what else? And per the election, everything was absolutely uninteresting in the city.
Nothing decided well.
Well, yeah, so either there was, well, even the school board was not excited because it was clear who was going to win the vacancy, and that was Brian, and she won, so that was that. And the two incumbents were reelected.
That's all votes.
And not by 12 votes, exactly, there was nothing exciting there, and that's about what I've got.
Tony, our hometown.
Home County, let's see, I'm
tracking down the 3.5% people who did not vote for me. And the 101 people or 8 people that did write-ins, they're in real trouble. But, yeah, but that was less than everybody else.
That's what I did on election day. I went and compared myself to every other candidate and was like, did I do better? 98% versus 97%.
I did a write-in against Chris.
Did you?
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah, he had actually, my share had just write-ins. But they were very
Really
close.
good.
Mike and Jim were like, I mean, Mike and Chris were with a couple of votes, and sorry to write-ins. And as far as the elections go, they're really interesting races. All 3 board supervisors were unopposed, so that was no change there on our board. We had a couple of school board races, and I would say that the general alignment in the school board has now shifted towards more pro-school, less, I don't want to say right, but less of the whole issues around, culture, yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. And one race is, I don't know if they're gonna do a recount or not, it's within 25 votes. And
Which one was that?
that's Sarah Johnson against Mr. Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse has been on the school board for a number of years, his wife's the treasurer now. It's a well-known name, and Sarah Johnson was kind of a newcomer on in a very conservative district, and she ran a very good race, and it's down to the wire on that one, so we'll see how that turns out. The other race that was of interest, but was pretty clear how it was gonna turn out, was for the Commissioner of Revenue. Mel Sheridan, who's been a commissioner for God knows 20+ years or so, retired. His daughter-in-law, I think is correct. His daughter-in-law was running for the seat against a man named Don Renard, who has been a prolific visitor to our board meetings to complain, he and his wife to complain about lack of transparency and lack of fairness, and in particular how land use and the assessment values are all managed. So he lost, I think it was 27% to 73%. But it did stimulate the conversation around land use. I think got a little bit more information out there for the public, since I represent the district that has no land use in place and has probably the highest tax values in place. And since I fought for that in the past, a little bit more transparency on that. I kind of welcome it, but I also recognize that it's the third rail in politics, and you're treading on very light water there. So, but that was probably the more interesting race overall to kind of watch and observe from the outside. And then on the sort of normal aspects in the county, we've broken ground on the Amazon Warehouse Center, which is going to be on 15, heading towards Palmyra. Wawa is finally done, and I know that seems like it dragged on forever. And the rest of the land around there is available for development, so that's we expect to see some activity around that. And the other big thing that's happening in the county right now is a Tenaska power plant. Tenaska wants to build a power plant. It's about a $2 billion investment. It's a 1.5 gigawatt plant. They want to build it right next to the existing plant that we have in place from Tenaska. A lot of community concern, a lot of it based around pollution, and a lot of it based around noise levels, along with water consumption levels. So that's an issue that the county is wrestling with right now, and we'll see how it turns out. We'll see. So that'll come to the board in January, I think.
They withdrew at the planning commission level.
They just did that.
withdrew or delayed.
They delayed just primarily because of the 60-day rule for the planning commission to review stuff and the information that needed to get out. And so it's a big thing. It was a big thing when it happened the first time, and there's a lot of folks that are upset about the idea of another power plant there. So, but it's of course a lot of revenue to the county.
I'm about to say, how much is that number?
But probably about 28 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's significant. Yeah, it's $8 million a year minimum. So, yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I've had several of my residents ask me to ask you to vote against it.
Yeah, sure.
Cause we border it.
Yeah, sure.
And what I've said is, I don't think they care what we tell them to
Well,
do.
you know, I think that, I mean, I think, you know, just objectively, the difficult part when you look at, you know, energy use and you know that energy use is gonna grow, you know, is growing very substantially. For me, when you say, okay, we're not gonna build it here, but they're gonna build it across the river in Buckingham. So the water use and the pollution and all those other things are still gonna happen, right? But we're not gonna get the revenue.
Yeah.
And if they don't build it in either place, then your energy costs, which are already rising, are gonna continue to rise and will be higher, and might be subject to brownouts. You know, you really put yourself in a difficult position. I'd love to see fusion, I'd love to see nuclear energy, but they're not viable solutions for meeting the current energy needs that are required, so. You know, that makes it pretty difficult, and if we were to try to do the same thing with solar, as you well know, in our county, we basically ban solar. It would be about 30,000 acres to cover in solar panels in order to generate the same.
How many acres is our county?
Energy, it's a lot more than that, but.
100 and something.
180,000, I think, something like that, but yeah, that would be very significant.
Solar is remarkable in that regard that you can get it and deploy it and have it activated in a time frame not even remotely close to all the other options out there. I mean, yeah, I've installed a lot of solar on houses, my dad's house and around. My dad was a Jimmy Carter era solar guy. Remember that, Ernie? When they had the tax credits for like 50% or whatever it was, and so. Still got some of those solar panels, I'm glad and Berkeley probably, but.
I can assure you they do.
Yeah, we as localities and the state and beyond. Have to recognize to have access to electricity on such a quick, feasible, though. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I understand the stormwater protection and all this stuff and what that means. It is remarkable how quick you can.
I think I was reading an article in Australia, basically energy is now free because they have so much solar power. I mean, you know, now they got a different land footprint than we do, but yeah, it's still that significant. You know, as we know, the use of renewables in Europe is much higher than it is here. There's just a lot of, you know, opportunity. California, actually, they have so much solar in place right now that they have what they call the duck curve inversion during the day because they generate more power from solar than they actually need. So you'll see solar panels lined up on the highway. You'll see them kind of everywhere.
Except for that.
Yeah, except for that. You won't see any industrial solar panels in Fluvanna.
Go Fluvanna. Yeah, there was some question whether the situation in Washington was going to slow down our 9 megawatt solar farm. But so far it appears it hasn't.
Yeah.
They're starting to check the boxes off. So.
Yeah, to Mr. Rutherford's point, I mean, you know, the energy companies are looking for any kind of energy that they can get right now. And to help shore up their grids in different spots, and you know, small industrial scale solar is an attractive opportunity for them. So it's kind of where it all lies. They're the hard choices there.
All righty, I don't really have too much to add on my end, other than I had the opportunity to attend a chairs and mayors meeting, and 15 years of being involved in the commission. That was probably the most interesting meeting I've ever been in, to sit across from every one of your county administrators and actually listen to this roundtable discussion amongst the administrators. It was a very eye-opening experience for me, and I can tell you, every one of you have first-class executives running your office, running the counties. All right, anything else before we wrap up?
Did I mention I get the most votes in Fluvanna County and had the?
No.
Okay, I did.
Tony, how many votes did you get?
2,400.
There you go.
Well, you
Was that the
got-
most votes?
You got more votes than any contested election? That's good.
No. I think Commissioner. Any full county election, no. I think Commissioner.
Oh, no, still, I would assume like some of the school board races where you had really hotly contested, just turnout would have been more.
The density of my district sort of.
That's true, yeah.
Well, we had about 2/3 in my district were early votes.
Good.
Percent?
Well, that's,
2/3.
Good citizen.
well, that,
Two-thirds of your vote was already done.
Yeah,
Wow.
Well,
Who
that's-
showed up on election day.
I did.
Didn't need them?
I voted for myself, come on.
having that office by Food Line
Makes a
is
huge difference.
huge difference. All righty, so we've got on a few things on for next month of December 4th. I will not be here. I'll be out of the country, but no, I'll make sure I do stuff. That's appreciate it. I'll be joining remotely, but I will not be here. All right, guys, well then, I think we're gonna adjourn. So, have a good evening, everybody.
All right, well,
So someone's looking at reaching out, very excited.
Yeah.
One of the